Madra John Madden, Tuesday morning, the 7th of May, out in front of Haritas de Oro coffee shop. I just had 2 fabulous hours in there uploading my videos and having a beautiful piece of pie and a cup of coffee and such charming encounters. A woman who I met the other day at the Chedraui store and helped me a lot in my checkout there showed up here and said, "Oh, let's be friends." She was here with her older mother, and I tried to disarm her by pretending I was going to sweet talk her mother. "Are you solo? ¿Estás solo? ¿Quieres retornar a los Estados Unidos conmigo? Do you want to go to the U.S. with me?" And really, it was actually Marina herself that I was interested in. And Marina immediately said, "Let's be friends," and gave me her WhatsApp phone number and her address, and I think we're going to be friends. And she's cute. She is cute. And then I had a fabulous conversation with Connie, the hostess here, who confirmed something that I've known about Veracruz but didn't quite know why. She said, Veracruz is very mystical in Spanish, and my Spanish is getting a lot better in conversations like that. And I said, I need to hear more about this. I've really felt that, a mystical connection with Veracruz. I arrived here on Noche Viejo, New Year's Eve, December 31st. Came down from Jalapa, Xalapa, the state capital, which I liked an awful lot. It's a tremendously charming, very hilly city up in the mountains. But the weather was awful up there. It was fabulous to be there for Navidad, for Christmas. It was a wonderful, beautiful place to be for Christmas. But in November and December, the weather was awful. It tends to be overcast, and no matter how nice a day starts, it's going to at least get terribly overcast and cold and probably rain by the end of the day. It was such a mix. So I was kind of glad to leave Jalapa and got down here the New Year's Eve day and didn't even know if they celebrate New Year's Eve in Mexico. But my first stop, I have to try to figure out, it was right on the outskirts of Veracruz. And I pulled over, and immediately a big pickup truck went by with a huge Bluetooth speaker, bocinas on top, blaring wonderful rock music, and about 10 big strapping guys in drag dancing down the street. And I said, yes, my kind of town. Chicago's my kind of town, that's my home. But I felt so welcomed. And by the end of the evening, and I came right down to this district and ended up parked right next to the Hotel Mar Y Tierra, about 3 blocks away. And went wandering looking for where the party was, and I found it. It was at a party setup that had been created in a street. I've never been able to figure out exactly where it was, but it was a huge stage, fabulous bands, hundreds of people dancing. I danced with beautiful women and just had a spectacular time. So what a welcome I got to Veracruz. And I proceeded to have a really wonderful January and February here. A couple of nights in the Hotel Mar Y Tierra, a lot around it, because the first week of January, people were still taking vacations because the kids were out of school. So it was bustling. Hundreds of people walking along the marina there. And I adore the way people treat their children in Mexico. I was enthralled, and all the lovers, and I kind of wanted one, but mostly it made me really happy to see all the people in love. And I went up to Boca del Rio, which is a very affluent neighbor to the south of here. Their motto is El Mejor de Veracruz, the better part of Veracruz. I resent that. I talked with a guy in one of the city offices and said, lose that motto, that's terrible, so competitive. You're not better than Veracruz. And he says, well, it's better for tourists. And I said, it's better for upper middle class tourists who like really expensive hotels and really expensive shopping. And yeah, the beaches are great. And I spent time on Playa La Bamba, right next to the Punta Azul Hotel, which the restaurant there is another Harita de Oro. I didn't even realize it was a chain. And Luis Cordoba, the manager there, immediately became amigos with me. his second WhatsApp he signed with Amigo Siempre, forever. And he helped me with my car. I was having a lot of problems with my car. He drove me around to find a garage, stuff like that. And I had wonderful experiences on that beach, including there is a somewhat mystical island that you can see from the hotel here, and even from the wharf I think you can see, Isla Sacrificios. And it's directly across from Playa La Bamba in Boca del Rio. And I took one kayaking lesson with a pretty mystical ocean goddess who goes by the name of Lady, and her kayaking outfit is Conoces Veracruz, get to know Veracruz. And whereas one of the other kayaking outfitters there has a big fancy SUV, she drives a 94 VW Bug, and that just totally won my heart. And when the rest of the kayakers went out with a couple of other trainers paddling towards Isla Sacrificios, she took me out just for a one-on-one lesson, and she was standing tall and proud on a waterboard, whatever they call those things, paddleboard. Just no problem with the waves, unshakable. And I thought, she's a goddess. Oh my God, the soul of the ocean. And then I didn't see her after that, and I think they stopped doing lessons because the weather was going to get bad. It gets hot. The weather was awesome in January and February, and it's hot now. So my plan has all along been to go to the Mayan Riviera. And I was about to do that, but a woman I interviewed on the wharf over here spoke in such impassioned terms about Orizaba, a magical pueblo up in the mountains. And I just spent 7 weeks up there in heaven. It is unbelievably gorgeous, and I had so many fabulous experiences up there. 2 tough ones that have been documented elsewhere. The one I'll mention here is that my car got stolen up there. My car got stolen. And I took it as a blessing because that car is so old and so many problems. I've been broke my whole year in Mexico because of that car. And it still needed brake work and transmission work, and the suspension was never going to be fixable. So I said, okay, good, slow down. You love Veracruz. Put on the back burner all mention of Mayan Riviera. Yeah, your only pre-Mexico friend lives out in Cozumel. Don't go yet. Ground yourself here in Veracruz. And I spent several nights at the Hotel Mar Y Tierra again with help from friends. They're not giving me money. I pay it back when I get my check. But I have friends who will MoneyGram me the money. I can't get a bank account in Mexico because I'm not a citizen. And when that money was absolutely running out after 6 nights, I said, if my friend Roxana doesn't get me in to talk to her landlord, it looked like there was an apartment I could get, but she was in Jalapa herself, not coming back. I said, if she doesn't get me in with him today, because she said it's open, you can take it right away. If she doesn't get me in there, I'm going to sleep on the beach, because I just can't afford another night in a hotel and have money for the apartment. Meanwhile, I had a bunch of little MoneyGrams, because the Coppel stores where I can cash a big MoneyGram, their system was down. So I had 4,000 pesos from those little MoneyGrams in my bag when I went to spend the night in Boca del Rio, prosperous, affluent suburb. Playa La Bamba, wonderful beach where I'd had such great experiences. And I thought, what could go wrong? It's going to be great. Yeah, I got robbed. 2 guys, I'm sure they were not police, but were impersonating police, took all my money. The only English word the one guy had, they had pistols on their hips, but did not have AK-47s. And if they were Mexican police of any stripe, one of them would have an AK-47. And I don't remember seeing badges. Around 1 in the morning, money, where's your money? And he went through my bag here about 3 times, didn't find it. I played it off like I left the money at the hotel, and then he found it. He said, thank you, have a good night. 1 in the morning, there I am with no money, honey. And I was wearing shoes that were the only shoes that I had, the shoes I had on when my truck was stolen, and they didn't fit. And I walked all night because I didn't feel safe on the beach. And my feet were a mess for days. I was like cringing as I walked for days. And then the next day, it seemed like, okay, it's gonna work out because Roxana shows up. They get me in the apartment. I didn't quite have enough money, but the landlord, Victor, says, get me the rest when you can, and the next day I did. So this is gonna be great, right? Not so fast, Buster. Victor is a real complicated guy, very hyper guy, and I think he's handy, but every time he tries to hook up the water from the tank on top of the building, it floods my whole apartment, including last night. Last night, I had to sleep out on the balcony, which is a little noisy for sleeping, but it's also the coolest place on very hot nights. It's been exceptionally hot in May and so humid. But my living room was a lake. My living room was a lake. I had to, and I'm not even going to go into all the craziness with Victor. I left very early this morning to get out of there before Victor could show up, because he was making me insane. And I've had a spectacular morning all along the wharf, and the Malecon is the big recreational area right at the harbor, and I've shot video after video. So because I'm not liking the weather, and because the apartment is starting to seem like a crazy house to me, I mean, I got all excited. I'll get a bed in there. I'll have women back, you know, after all this time in a camper van, which was not romantic. No muy romántico. I said, yes, look. Yeah, well, my living room's a lake, and my landlord's a crazy man who turns up at any moment and wants to lock me in the apartment at night with 3 padlocks because it's for your safety. We have to. So, you know, what do I make of all this? What? I can't figure it out. It's way over my head. It's beyond my pay grade. God. Okay, I turn it over. You're in charge. You will decide this. I will get messages. I always do. But sometimes they contradict each other, and just when I think I'm safe, I get robbed. Or my car gets stolen. Whew. I need to get back in that water. El Mar. The ocean soothes me like nothing else. You know, they call it oceanic. It's the oceanic feeling. And that's the reason I was headed. The reason I stayed on the Gulf of Mexico the whole way through. The reason I want to live by the ocean, either in Veracruz or the Riviera Maya, or both, you know. I hate to go all the way out the Yucatan and not have access to the mountains, because I got so happy in Orizaba. I lived 16 years in the mountains before starting my travels 4 years ago. I think I ought to shut up. Send prayers. Send clarity. Now, those of you who know Veracruz, tell me, you know, 60% of my YouTube followers are in Mexico now, twice as many as the US. If you know Veracruz, tell me why it's mystical. I've been communicating with a buddy of mine from Asheville, North Carolina, with the start of my whole travels up in the mountains of North Carolina. Jose Iniguez grew up at the other end of this block. I swear to God, grew up in a house at the other end of this block. And yesterday we were on a video call, because when he saw I was in Veracruz on Facebook, he said, I got to talk to you about Veracruz, because he adores this town. So Luis, Jose, Luis, Connie, who I was just talking to in here, Valeria, the other hostess in here, Luis Cordoba at Horita de Oro in Punta Azul. Tell me about the mysticism, because that'll keep me here at least for half the year, and maybe half the year at the Riviera Maya. We'll see. And I do have one blinding flash of clarity from God telling me to shut up. This is 15 minutes, Jack. That's how God talks to me. 15 minutes, Jack. If they're not gone now, they're going to be gone. I'm going to count to 10. And by the time I get to 1, either you hang up, stop the video, or I will smite you. Because some people think I do that. I don't really. But with you, I make an exception and I will smite you if you don't shut up. Ah! Bye.